Asics hiking shoe? Who'd ever buy an Asics hiking shoe for lifestyle? That seems like a really odd thing to buy. I really have no idea who would ever do such a thing. What's good everyone on YouTube, it's me again, back with another video, and switching back to one of my favorite off the beaten path brands, Asics, we're actually talking about a pretty interesting collaboration that came out not too long ago between Asics and Chemist Creation. So from what I understand, Chemist Creation is a subdivision of C2H4, and C2H4 is a fashion brand with this really interesting kind of like mismatch of like data and electronics along with like clothing. I'll show you some photos of like what the brand looks like, and it's a really interesting brand aesthetic. And with their subdivision, Chemist Creation, they decided to collaborate with Asics on two silhouettes. So the first silhouette came out, it was the Gel-Can 05, and the interesting thing about that was like the added lacing structure on top of the regular lacing structure. And the shoe we have here today, which is actually a pretty standard, I would say, hiking shoe from Asics, but honestly, like, this shoe really, I think, elevates a hiking shoe to the point where it really looks very pleasing to the eye, and I ended up buying it, so hey, what do you know? So, without rambling any longer, today we'll be talking about the Asics Gel-FujiTrabuco 7 SPS in the Arctic blue colorway, or the white colorway. I'm just trying to read off the box. So yeah, with the intro out of the way, let's get into the box. So, at least when you buy from regular retailers, you just get this regular Asics sportswear box. I did hear if you bought from C2H4's website, you got a special edition box that sort of looks like this, if the photo is going to be here or here. But at least the box I have, we've got the standard sort of A at the top, got Asics written on the side, and other side. And then if we flip open the box, the first thing we actually get is this sheet of paper with some Japanese, Chinese, and English written on it. And what this piece of paper is actually telling you about is that the special edition carabiner clip is actually not made for like mountain climbing or any sort of sports use. So basically, don't use fashion items as actual hardware to save your life. And then on this other piece of paper, we've actually got an instruction manual essentially as to how to lace the shoe. We'll get into that in a bit. And the shoes were wrapped in pretty standard wrapping paper, and the shoes were stuffed with standard packing paper. And inside the little baggie, we get the carabiner clip that they mentioned is not actually used for climbing. So we've got Chemist Creation's Asics laboratory use only, and we've got Chemist Creation written in Chinese, and then we've got the A on the other side. And fun fact, if you guys didn't know, there's actually a whole sort of probability thing about these things. So the black and white clips have a 70% chance of being like given to you. The yellow and blue clips have a 30 or what was it, 20% chance. And then the red and Volt clip actually has only a 10% chance. Your boy got unlucky, only got the 70% chance one, but hey, there we go. And if we look at the side of the box, we've got Gel-FujiTrabuco 7 SPS. If you guys know what SPS stands for, leave a comment in the comment section down below. So, the retail price on these, at least in Australia, these retail for a price of 270 Australian dollars. I'll put the conversion here. And to be honest, it's a little bit rubbish in my opinion, because the Kayano 5s is a more expensive silhouette on its own at like 220, whereas the Gel-Fujis are a $200 shoe. Yet the Kayano was was less expensive in the Chemist Creation form than this one. But you know what, I'm not going to complain, I still ended up buying the shoe anyway, so yeah. With the box out of the way, let's get into the shoes. And here we are, the Asics Gel-FujiTrabuco 7 SPS in the white Arctic blue colorway. So, if any of you have seen my previous video about the affixed Gel Kinze OGs actually, the quick way to just sort of summarize the two is that pretty much the same thing has happened on that shoe as it happened on this shoe, where the main change is that they've changed the lacing system on this shoe. So instead of traditional laces, we've got this sort of like speed lacing for structure with the sort of pull tab and the extra sort of clip at the front. And it makes the shoe pretty easy to put on. Like, you just slide the pull tab down and up whenever you need to sort of tighten or loosen the shoe. But aside from that, the Gel-Fuji silhouette itself hasn't been changed much at all. It's still the same sort of standard materials on the top. They've moved the logo to the side where it says Gel-FujiTrabuco 7 on the toe instead of the heel. And that's because on the heel we've actually got these Chinese characters that apparently translate to Chemist Creation. And then another addition to the Chemist Creation edition is that we've got these special insoles. So on the insoles we've got Chemist Creation and Asics, and if you look around the toe area of the insole, we've actually got part of the periodic table. So that's pretty cool, got to get that chemist clout going. And if we move down to the midsole, we've got this pretty standard Gel-Fuji 7 midsole. So it's got these really jagged lines. We've got flight foam and Duo Max on the heel as well, and embedded gel apparently. I personally like visible gel, but hey, can't complain about this. And then if we move to the outsole, because this is originally a hiking shoe, we've got this really vicious sort of traction with all these like sort of rigid diamond and triangular shapes. So that pretty much covers the main features of this particular shoe. In terms of sizing, because 9.5 was extremely hard to come across, at least in Australia, I ended up going with a size 10. And the size 10 is definitely workable, but I could feel like I could probably just go true to size on this shoe. So my recommendation would be pretty safe to say you could just go true to size on this shoe. However, if you're stuck with going up or down half a size, I would recommend going up half a size. So I'm natively a US 9.5 in most of my sneakers. I bought these in a US 10 and they fit me alright. Just a little bit roomy, but overall pretty good. Now, in terms of comfort, the midsole is actually surprisingly comfortable, despite the fact you've got this really sort of thick and quite heavy rubber on the bottom. The Duo Max and the flight foam actually compresses quite nicely. I can't say for certain if I'm feeling any sort of gel, but apparently it's there, and it feels quite nice to just sort of walk around in. And the upper itself, with this new sort of lacing system, as well as this breathable mesh on the toe, it's actually quite a nice upper, to be honest. I wouldn't say too much about it. It locks down your foot pretty well. There's no real heel slippage, even though I've gone up half a size. So overall, I'd say comfort on this shoe is actually really good. But that's kind of to be expected, as this shoe is originally a hiking silhouette, and if you're going to be hiking, you're going to need some comfortable shoes. Now I'll get into the part of the video where I talk about my opinions on this shoe. And honestly, this to me is a prime example of how the right colorway or like the right sort of like collaboration can honestly elevate any shoe, in my opinion. I'm quite a firm believer in there's no such thing as bad shoes, only bad colorways. You know, take that with a grain of salt. There's still shoes I still hate to this day. But this shoe, honestly, when I first saw this collaboration version, I thought it was actually really interesting looking. And, you know, me being the sort of like cheaper kind of frugal guy that wants to look for different sort of like cheaper alternatives, I went looking for the original silhouette. But I just found that Asics made some really garbage colorways of this particular shoe. I'll flash some photos of some of the regular releases of this particular shoe, but it just looks ridiculous. And like, it gets me almost like flustered and angry that like Asics has gold in terms of like the silhouette, and yet they're throwing such terrible colorways on this shoe. I mean, did it really need to take a collaboration for them to finally realize that the Gel-Fuji is actually pretty fire? Because to me, this collaboration, while it's very simple in its colorways, and honestly, the only thing they really changed is the lacing system, it really shows off the silhouette. And honestly, this silhouette has this extremely utilitarian kind of like tech wear look to it. And I actually think it's probably one of the best Asics collaborations come out this year. It's definitely very different from like some of the other collaboration shoes I've bought from Asics, especially a lot of the Kiko stuff, which has this weird sort of like avant-garde fashion kind of aesthetic to it, whereas this is very much more like a tech wear kind of vibe to it. But overall, I'd honestly say that like the silhouette itself is actually super fire, and Asics needs to really get their head in the game when it comes to colorways, because honestly, bad colorways can kill any shoe, as it's pretty evident with their more regular releases. But yeah, in this particular Chemist Creation silhouette, I like it. It's good. And with that, we've come to the end of another video. So, I'd love to hear what you guys think of the Asics Gel-FujiTrabuco 7 SPS in the white and was it Arctic blue colorway. And out of all the Chemist Creation Asics collaborations, which is your favorite? So for myself, this is easily my favorite. And yeah, actually no, this is just my favorite. I didn't particularly care much for the other ones, but I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video, and if you're into more sneaker content and that sort of thing, consider subscribing to the channel. Time for the on feet, and I'll catch you guys in another video.